In the early hours of January 3rd, 2026, the United States launched a major military operation in Venezuela, carrying out airstrikes on key military installations in and around Caracas and deploying special operations forces on the ground. Explosions were reported near air bases and strategic facilities, and parts of the capital experienced power outages following the strikes. U.S. officials said the operation was carefully planned and aimed at dismantling what they described as a criminal network at the highest levels of the Venezuelan government. During the operation, U.S. forces captured Venezuelan President Nicolás Maduro and his wife, Cilia Flores. They were removed from the country and transported under U.S. military custody, later arriving in the United States, where they are expected to face federal charges, including allegations related to drug trafficking and organized crime. President Donald Trump confirmed the capture in public statements and described it as a decisive action against what he called a narco regime. Trump said the United States would temporarily take responsibility for overseeing Venezuela's transition, stating that Washington would run Venezuela until a stable and orderly handover of power could be achieved. He emphasized the need to stabilize the country, restore order, and rebuild critical infrastructure, particularly the oil sector, which holds the world's largest proven reserves. The president suggested that U.S. companies could play a role in rehabilitating Venezuela's energy industry, framing the move as beneficial both for Venezuelans and for global energy markets. Inside Venezuela, the Supreme Tribunal of Justice declared that Vice President Delcy Rodriguez would assume presidential powers in Maduro's absence, citing constitutional provisions. Rodriguez rejected the legitimacy of a U.S. action, denounced the operation as a violation of Venezuelan sovereignty, and demanded Maduro's immediate release. She insisted that Maduro remains the country's legitimate president and accused the United States of kidnapping and illegal intervention. Reactions within Venezuela have been sharply divided. Opposition figures and some anti-Maduro activists welcomed the development, calling it the end of years of authoritarian rule and economic collapse. Celebrations were reported among some Venezuelan expatriate communities abroad. At the same time, many Venezuelans expressed fear and uncertainty about foreign military involvement, while pro-government supporters condemned the operation and warned of instability. International reaction was swift and polarized. Several Latin American governments criticized the U.S. action as a breach of international law and warned that it could set a dangerous precedent in the region. Russia and China strongly condemned the strikes, describing them as an act of aggression and interference in a sovereign nation's affairs. European leaders and United Nations officials called for restraint, respect for international law, and urgent diplomatic effort to prevent further escalation. An emergency meeting of the UN Security Council was requested to address the crisis. In the United States, the operation sparked political controversy. Critics questioned the legality of the action, citing the absence of congressional authorization and warning that it could undermine international norms governing the use of force. Supporters of the president argued that the move was justified by national security concerns and long-standing criminal charges against Maduro. As the situation continues to unfold, Venezuela faces deep uncertainty over its political future. With its president in U.S. custody, a contested interim authority in Caracas, and intense international scrutiny, the country has become the center of one of the most consequential geopolitical crises in the region in decades.